The stunned silence falls over the crowd.
I still not processed everything that has been this week. You know, TNA, man, TNA. I love you, but you are going to be paying for my therapy bill after this week, y'all, because you put me through it this week. Let me just put this out here for everybody, too, because, like, so far, everything that has been aired this week, starting from Sunday up until now, all the promotions this week have been kind of giving me very questions about a lot of stuff. AEW, y'all are cool, but I also have questions as to where we're going with certain things. Also, that's for a whole nother podcast, but we'll see because next Wednesday, you're either going to make me very happy or I'm going to start throwing things metaphorically at the screen, depending on what happens in, our championship match. But I digress. But TNA, we're calling you to the rug to this episode tonight because I got thoughts and feelings. We all have thoughts and feelings. But before we get into them, welcome to the Six-Sided Scholars. This is the TNA pay-per-view / PLE, whatever you want to call them, because apparently they're interchangeable, according to some people on the internet. But we review all the pay-per-views for TNA, and tonight we are here to review TNA Slammiversary, which took place in Long Island, New York, this past Sunday, July 20th. Radio and I did a watch-along for that. This was a fun 3.5 hours. But if y'all go watch that, you will see the emotional roller coaster ride that we were on that whole entire night. And by the end of it, we had a deep discussion that we're going to continue on tonight because I have opinions, conspiracy theories, all sorts of stuff. But of course, my panel for this evening, outside of radio, Free Will, here, holding it down for us tonight as well. I feel your pain. It is warm outside, but I refuse to wear a tank top right now because I'm wearing this shirt.
It's warm by New England standards. So you'd be over here like 90, so I can get over it.
Yeah, I'm currently, not a joke, like currently there's a whole entire fire breaking out like 2 miles away from my house, but everything is fine. I mean, we live in the desert, so it's just like, I already live in hell. What's a little fire? Thankfully, it's not 120 degrees, but next week I'll be lying. Anyways, and then of course, rounding out our trio of a panel tonight, of course, is Mr. JT rocking I love the shirt, rocking the very colorful shirt.
It's all mushrooms. It's like, oops, all mushrooms. Hang on. Let me see if I can do this real quick.
Now you just need several badgers to sort of balance it out.
Exactly. And like a big snake in the background, like on my back. Yep, totally.
We love it here. So, so you have all black everything, wearing this black tee, and I have black shorts on, even though it's like 112 degrees outside today. We have our Druid Master and JT and the Gun Show Radio Free Will in this tank top.
Wait, we're supposed to be wearing pants on this episode?
Are we Donald Ducking it? We love that.
I'm not going to confirm or deny that. You guys can decide. Yeah.
It is one of two ways. We are either Donald Ducking it or we winning the poo it. So we'll let you decide.
Both are copyright Disney.
Yes. Try me. I'm just kidding. So before we get into TNA Slammiversary, a little bit of housekeeping. If you see our lovely faces right now, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitch or Kick. If you don't want to commit to a full-length review, we love you anyways. And just follow us on the social medias where you can read our thoughts on the report cards that we put out for all of these pay-per-views and the weekly shows, as well as some fun other stuff as well. Of course, we also have some merchandise that you can definitely go out and buy. Treat yourself to something nice when you have the funds. Please don't break the bank for us. Please don't do that. Of course, we have merch for all of our review teams. The Six-Sided Scholars merch will be coming later this weekend, so that's going to be fun.
Which, by the way, that's one thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Given the number of times that the line has come up over the course of the week, I feel like this promo could have been an email, needs to be on some merch.
Listen, I have a sticky notepad full of shirt ideas, which also include, Botox Skeletor, which is a running gag for us here at, BC WrestlePod about a certain wrestler over in the Fed.
Charlotte?
Yeah.
Okay. In my head, it's one of two people, and it was a 50-50 shot of...
Would be correct.
Yeah.
We're going to try to rework the design because I was just like, I still have beef with Charlotte, but also I'm kind of digging what's going on with her and Alexa, but that's for Sunday show. But yeah, we have merch for all of our review shows. We have all merch for our summertime collection, which is a lot of fun. We also have our Pride, 365 days out the year collection, and our We Don't Tap collection, which is specifically, letting the world know that you love wrestling and are against fascism as well. I was just like, if anything has showed us Power to the peoples. Anywho.
Release the list.
Yes. Alrighty. We've delayed this as much
Uh,
as we can. Let's just jump into it.
Well, also, do we want to, speaking out against, fascist shitheads, do we also want to talk about the dead elephant in the room this week?
We can really quickly, but let me put this right here just in case. Anyways, okay, we're good.
Yeah, I am going to borrow one of the wisest. Now, keep in mind, Killer Mike is a fantastic rapper, but I'm one of the wisest things he ever said when he said, fuck Hulk Hogan.
We love it so much. But yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on. Everybody seems to have splitting opinions. The majority of us feel a certain way. And I will say, Hulk Hogan definitely had an impact on the industry. Double middle fingers to Terry Bollea.
So here's the thing. Someone actually, I've seen a lot of I follow various, news outlets, wrestling news outlets. I specifically follow Wrestle Talk and Wrestling with Regret. And I kind of keep an eye on What Culture and the Wrestling Observer. Brian Alvarez and Brian Meltzer. Alvarez and Meltzer. Every single one of them has been doing the very, diplomatic thing. Being saying yes, he still died. He had a tremendous impact on the industry. It'd be hard to, you can't imagine what wrestling would be without him. Yes, you can absolutely imagine what wrestling would be like without him. Because if it wasn't him, Vinnie Mac would have picked somebody else. Vince McMahon would have picked superstar Billy Graham. He would have picked Dusty Rhodes. He would have picked Ric Flair. He would have picked the Ultimate Warrior. He would have picked Sting. It could anyone could have been put in that slot and wrestling would still be the same today. And I can understand people's complicated feelings about it because he was such an icon through the 80s and just sort of reconciling who he was as a person versus his impact on the industry and his character in the ring and everything like that. But I understand complicated feelings and I understand people needing to process those complicated feelings. But at the end of the day, his legacy was being a massive shithead, both in ring and out. Because I've seen a dozen, I've seen at least 100 memes of people saying wherever he ends up, first thing that he's going to see is Iron Sheik and Randy Savage cracking their knuckles. And
with the Macho Man or the Bonesaw, you're going nowhere.
Yeah,
I've got you for 5 minutes.
Yep. Well, and that's everybody always cites Randy Savage and Iron Sheik because how hard he screwed over Randy Savage and Iron Sheik's distaste for him were so public. But if you look through history, there were so many more. There's Andre the Giant, who from what I've heard was not much of a better person, but still got screwed over. Superstar Billy Graham. Hulk Hogan wholesale stole Superstar Billy Graham's gimmick and became famous off of it. Junkyard Dog, and for all these people that have already passed and seen and are waiting for him in the afterlife, there's definitely 2 mannequins in that room with signs taped to their chest of saying, this space reserved for Jesse Ventura and Jeff Jarrett. And furthermore, speaking of Jesse Ventura and the whole union busting thing, if wrestlers had been able to unionize back in the 80s, wrestlers would have access to the health care that athletes of their caliber need, which means there is an argument to be made that any of the wrestlers that died young because of the stuff that they got into during their time in the ring, their blood is on his hands as well. I'm talking about Eddie Guerrero. I'm talking about Vader. There's even an argument to be made that Chris Kanyon would still be here today if he had access to the mental health support that he needed.
Yeah, Chris Benoit too would have been the same way.
That one's a little. I can't super claim that one, but because there's a lot more to that one. But but I understand because it's the CTE was a big factor in that. But it's still, and the CTE part, that's still a very recent development. People didn't even realize that was a health issue thing until much later. So but yeah, any of the people that like I said, Chris Kanyon, Eddie Guerrero, Vader, people that could have used that kind of healthcare support that a union would have brought to them, their blood is on his hands too, and they're waiting for him there too. So once again, to bring it back to the Killer Mike quote, fuck Hulk Hogan. And
yeah.
To be I warned Mikey about this afternoon, especially after some of the TNA stuff that I've watched this week, I am bringing the heel energy this week. So, like, I am here. That is the sound of me cracking my haterade. It's sparkling water, but I am going to be drinking the haterade tonight.
Absolutely. Just again, just in case,
Have feelings and opinions, and they're coming out.
Exactly. I love using that gimmick. It's so much fun. But yeah, we'll discuss this more in depth. Ooh, good job. On Sunday during our WWE review show. We won't be spending a lot of time for it, but it's okay. We got this. All right. Now let's rip the Band-Aid off. We delayed it for enough time.
Yeah.
Let's jump into Slammiversary. So what we're going to plan to do here tonight is we're going to go through Slammiversary. And then we're going to briefly talk about the Thursday episode of TNA because if you haven't seen Slammiversary at this point or haven't read the results or any of the articles, like, I guess spoiler warning, but like, you knew what you were signing up for. I'm just kidding. So the best way I could describe all the Slammiversary and this Thursday episode in terms of the overarching narrative is that, damn, TNA really got to be picking up the pieces now, but we're going to talk about that when we get to certain matches. So let's just start off with our countdown show real quickly. So I'm still a little pressed more than a panini about this one because we had a match push this match onto the countdown show instead of the main card. And I was like, oh, but it is what it is at this point. So on the countdown show, we had the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championships, the Elegance brand, which is Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance, defending the title against the Insker, which we love. This ended up becoming a numbers game because 3-on-2 was not fair. We had a Statue of Liberty, like a torch, be bonked as a weapon, a la cartoon for this one. I was hoping the Inspiration was going to win, but you know what? It was what it was. I was like, these girls did the best they could. I was like, they should have been on the main show, but I'm not the booker. So Elegance brand picks up the victory here through shenanigans over the Inspiration, which will kind of lead into when we talk about Thursday, because the Inspiration even the score a tiny bit. But by the end of this match, the Elegance brand are still your TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championships. Discuss.
I feel horrible because I didn't watch the countdown episode.
I'm gonna be so for real. You didn't really miss too much, which is sad. This should have been on the main card.
You kind of sort of just paraphrased it, and I went, yeah, that kind of sounds how I could imagine that it was going to be, and I'm a little
I saw the Elegance brand versus Inspiration match this week on Impact, and I feel like, third verse, same as the first.
Email.
Yeah. I think what also doesn't help too, and I've been saying this for quite some time, is that because we don't have too many knockout tag teams, I'm like, where are we going, you guys? What's happening?
Seriously, like, there was a moment in Impact this week, where JC Jane starts like calling out, members of the TNA locker, the, knockouts in the locker room, and points out that, Victoria Crawford and Rosemary, they need to be locked away. Like, guys, you have another team there. There's another tag. You can have another one.
We honestly, because I can't believe I'm saying this, because TNA so far this year in 2025, they have signed more women than men. You have more women to do stuff with. Like, I know for whatever reason, like Zaya Brookside and Liang Lee could be a tag team, even if they're thrown together. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Tessa, but you have Tessa and Victoria. You have Danny Luna and Jody Threat, but because of the stipulation of Under Siege, where they had to break up if they couldn't get the tag team championship back. So, but we got to start building up something. But then again, you also have Rosemary, you have Harley, you just signed like 2 other women. Well, and then this Thursday we got another one. So I know not everyone can do everything, and I know. I'm not here for throwing everybody in a tag team, but like, give us at least 2 more tag teams so we have at least 4 teams to do stuff with. And I know this is not going to happen, but like, you also have a bunch of women in NXT with the stupid relationship you got going on. And we have seen the NXT girls come over and be a lot of fun here too, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But again, we need to do more with our women's knockouts tag team division, y'all. TNA, I love you. But come on now. These are the only real tag teams we got right now. Start making some more. But we move on though. Because the other match, technically this match was not scheduled, but I thoroughly enjoyed it just because it was stupid, but my kind of stupid. We get Eric Young versus the Hometown Man.
Yes, I am here for the Hometown Man.
Love this match. Yep. Eric Young, we're going to talk about you about this Thursday episode because literally after his promo, and we're far enough into this, after the promo and when the contents of said promo, I'm like, Eric Young, what the fuck is this? I was like, this is leaning. I was like, ooh, this is kind of problematic.
That seems to be a lot of the last couple of times that Eric Young's been kind of brought into the light has been, "The fuck is going on with you?" Like,
He has
seriously.
gone off more, and I feel like we're about to jump off the cliff, which we'll talk about soon.
Yep, yep.
So, but Eric Young gets on the mic. He has become obsessed with Hometown Man comes out. They have a match. Hometown Man wins. Eric Young and the rest of the Northern Armory chase Hometown Man through the crowd as he celebrates. This was dumb fun, and I was here for it.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, like, honestly, like, for my money, like, Hometown Man and Leon Slater are, like, the saving graces of TNA. Like,
That is truth.
Ugh, yeah, so this was fun. I was like, all right, this wasn't announced, but I had a great time about
Yeah.
this. So let's close out the countdown because then we got the match that was actually advertised where you have
Yes.
Team TNA versus Team Fourth Rope. This is a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to lie, you guys.
and I was shocked that Fourth Rope came out on top on this.
I'm going to be so for real. Me too.
Like,
I mean, I picked them too for the predictions league, but even still.
same, exactly. But it's this is the kind of opportunity that, like, put it this way: if TNA was going full TKO on this, this is the opportunity. It's like, nope, and just squash him. No, they came out on top, and like it's so weird to see TNA at one point seemingly respect all the indies, and in the same breath get on their knees for, it's, I mean, don't get me
It's wild.
don't get me wrong. I understand that switches are a thing, but like on a business standpoint, it's a little weird.
I love this. And here's the thing too, like with all that aside, like, okay, so this was my fault because I was like, okay, Fourth Rope winning here, spoiler alert, because Mance and Jake couldn't get on the same page towards the tail end of things. I was like, okay, Fourth Rope set something up. You got a small little feud that can show up at tapings this week. Cool, one and done. We're fine. We didn't even get that. It was like literally one and they out poof like a magic trick. I was like, what the? It was weird. And looking back at it, this was the start of so many questions I was going to have by the end of the night. So that was the countdown show. Now let's jump into the main card, y'all, because we got lots of things to talk about. Kick things off with this match. We get a rerun of 205 Live WrestleMania. We get Cedric Alexander versus the leader of Order 4, Mustafa Ali. This was a fun match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It seems that we're going to, potentially run this back. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I thought so. And then Thursday had me leaving more questions than answers. But this was really solid from both of them. There was a moment where I thought Ali killed himself at one point. I was just like,
Those turnbuckles got juice for this Slammiversary.
Somebody is about to get cracked. It's crazy. I will also say shout out to Tasha Steeles for selling the hell out of that lumbar check. That she went.
That was insane. Like, damn.
I was like, she went flying. But when the dust settled, Mustafa Ali picked up the victory here. So, Radio, I'm gonna come to you first. What did you think about this match and them running it back from 205 Live?
It was a good match. Like, I mean, I always love watching cruiserweights do their thing, I was surprised to see Ali come out on top just because it seemed like, especially if they want to, because I kind of figured that they were going to keep the feud going, but like, I don't know. It was a solid opener. Like I said, I didn't watch the countdown match, so this was the opener for me. And it definitely like set the pace for the night. And so, like, because that is one that, like, I opened up my bottle of Haterade because I'll be 100% honest, I forgot we were going to be reviewing Slammiversary tonight, and like all of my Haterade is entirely based on this week's Impact. But Slammiversary was a solid show. I did not hate Slammiversary. So yeah, and this one definitely sort of set the tone, set the pace for the evening. It was a good one.
And JT, what did you think about this one?
It definitely set the pace. Like, and you see it throughout all of this Slammiversary stuff. It's going to be good when the guys have KT tape on their arm. That's how it's going to be like, as Micah would say, it's going to get buck wild. It was technically amazing. Like I said, the turnbuckles got their share of sweaty ass bodies tonight. But watching Mustafa Ali getting like rocked into the aluminum steps.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's where I thought he was going to die. I was like, holy crap. Those don't feel good when you hit. And it was good. Like Radio said, good start to Slammiversary. So this set the pace, definitely.
That it did. So Ali walked out as the winner in this one. When we get to our Thursday episode, we're going to talk about it because while they didn't announce it, insider and also a friend of mine sent over what is to be expected for next week's Impact. So we'll get to that when we recover it. But right now, I'm mad that we pushed the Knockouts tag team match for this one.
Yeah.
Any of the match, I would have rather seen the
Hometown Man versus Eric Young could have been okay here too.
I would have been okay with that instead of this. This was an email match for me.
Yeah, I concur, and honestly, it entirely falls on Dark State. That is one ass faction, and that's compared to the system. Okay,
listen. We've been tired of the system for the last year and a half, but damn it, did they come together to try to pull this one? I was like, I actually give the system and Matt Cardona credit for this too, because they tried. When I look at Dark State, I was like, this is what happens when 1 out of the 4 individual members of this faction actually has some years of experience of wrestling on the independents. I noticed how Saquon Sugars, listen, Saquon, I love you, but you were kind of messy in this match, but you gave it your college try. The rest of you are still too green. What the flip were we doing?
Also, I know I mentioned this while we were on the watch along, but guys, the quadruple powerbomb, really, that is it's the definition of gilding the lily. Okay, like the Shield, when the Shield did the triple powerbomb, that was pushing it. That was a little much, quadruple. No, get the fuck out of here. It's find a new finisher. And I know there's only so many moves that you can do with 4 guys. Then the thing is, don't use all 4 guys for the finish. You can have a tag team move that's this is our tag team move, but all 4 of us can sort of use it interchangeably. That's fine.
Or do like they did in some of the other ones tonight, where they would do one move and then they would the person that got power bombed, they'd jump back up out of reaction, and then the other person would do a move on it.
Yeah.
This was not system. As much as I don't like you as a faction and I want y'all to break up, but thank you for pulling it together, because had you lost, I don't know what I'm gonna be so for real. I was just looking back at it, had you also lost, I'd be like, TNA, what are we doing? Why are we losing to NXT? This is wild.
Yeah, we just keep giving everything to NXT.
Sorry.
The world, we call that.
Here's the other thing too. So I know, you two are mostly my TNA boys, along with Papa also will, but Papa also and I also do NXT. NXT was also a thing that's happened this Tuesday. And I'm like, Dark State's still running around and talking, thinking that they run stuff on NXT. I was like, y'all got your ass handed to you, not on 1, but 2 different promotions.
Guys,
you
guys think you're the Shield, but you're really Retribution. Get the fuck out of here.
I was just like, Dark State is the equivalent of Ice Spice. I was like, you try too hard. Anywho.
Okay, I will say though, on the note of comparing them to Retribution, it does mean that hopefully one of them will end up leaving and find some more success on the indies in a really good.
As much as I don't want people to lose their jobs, Saquon Sugars, I hope go back to the independents. Because I love they're not using you correctly. Anyways.
I mean, I'm referring to with Mason Mansoor, because I know everybody cites Ali and Dijak and Mia Yim as the members of Retribution that sort of were able to shake that off. No. If you have never seen an MXM collection, MXM collection is doing everything right that the Elegance brand is doing wrong. Okay.
Right. You mean this?
Let's get out of here. Johnny TV style. Right in the shot, you bald idiot! You fool! The other way! Go!
I'm glad we still have this video. They're so good. All to say is I care more about MXN collection than I do Dark State, because Dark State is not doing it. Listen, HBK, Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid, whatever you want to go by these days. Just let it go with Dark State, break them up. Give me Saquon Sugars as a single star. Everybody else, you can figure something else out. But System and Matt Cardona pull it out. This is a very short match too, but then again, 3 out of the 4 of Dark State is still very green, but it is what it is. This is a messy match. I want to move on from this because this match made me sad and upset that we pushed the Knockouts championship match. Even though that one was not great either, I would have taken that over this one. I'm not going front. So we move on. Indy wins. Moving on. I'm
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so
Indy wins. Tessa's suspended again.
that was wild to me that after the match,
We all meet at the bar.
Yeah. The fact that Tessa attacked Gia afterwards was wild. I was like, ooh, that looked like it hurt, but also go Gia getting in on the action like this too. But okay, I have a bone to pick with Mr. Brian Alvarez really quickly.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Was this a 5-star masterpiece? No. Did I expect it to be? No. I also made the comment that I need both men and women wrestlers and everybody in between. Like, we got to figure out how we're going to bedazzle our gear without it popping off every 5 seconds. Because by the end of this match, that mat was glitterized. It looked like we walked into a clearance rack at Claire's, just pushed everything onto us and said, I'll take it. Like, literally.
It was like an AEW match, except a drag show.
I think it was I think the bedazzling was so on the mat when they were done that other wrestlers were still picking it off and throwing it seriously.
But back to what I was
that was on Impact this week. We would have seen that.
It really would. But I got a bone to pick with Mr. Brian Alvarez because Brian said that this match was god awful. It was garbage. Like, Indy is not a good wrestler. I was just like, well, no shit, Sherlock, because where she was formerly didn't utilize her correctly and didn't let her do anything.
I didn't actually read his review. I did hear that he only gave it a half a star, but like, I don't think it was quite that. It was not a great match. I will say that because I'm honestly, one of my big complaints from it is that
Indy needs a new finisher.
Number one, you know what? They both need new finishers because like Indy's, first of all, has the stupid name, the Hertz Donut. And on top of that, it is a twisting version of, it's a move that's been used by a bunch of different wrestlers. Beth Phoenix called it the Glam Slam. Taya Valkyrie called it the Road to Valhalla. Jade Cargill calls it Jaded. It's that double underhook to, from behind to face buster kind of thing. Indy does that, except she sort of like twists with it, which completely removes the illusion of impact on it. So it means her opponent kind of like rolls to the ground rather than having that kind of like impact. Furthermore, Tessa Blanchard's is the Magnum, a top rope code breaker. I've always thought that the code breaker was a really weird move because, frankly, why would you come up with a finishing move where your finishing move is to powerbomb yourself?
I was like, you about to knock yourself out.
And like, and once again, like Chris Jericho sold it. And it's like, I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll deal with it. And now it's become sort of a general move. Like a lot of different people use it, and that's fine. But doing it from the top rope, you are literally like, you're just kind of cannonballing the mat and catching your opponent on the way down.
I'm just like, listen, I'm not a wrestler. I'm not going to tell people how to do their finishers, but like, if your finisher requires you to do a lot of setup, we have problems. A finisher needs to be really quickly because to me, a finisher needs to be, okay, I need to knock you down to the mat and pin you as quickly as I can, or like make sure you don't get back up at least. But if we're like mousetrapping it the whole time, like I was like, no.
Or if it is elaborate, well, and that's, I don't necessarily agree with that because like some of the most iconic finishing moves of all time require a degree of setup. The move that immediately comes to mind on that is the 619. Like, because that one, like, you need to throw the guy to the ropes and do the drop toe hold to make him trip in that particular area. So, like, there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief that goes into that, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. Same thing with Swerve Strickland's, the Swerve Stomp. Like, that involves you, like, he has to get up to the top rope, and the guy has to be, like, sitting up. Like, why would you stay sitting? Like, what? Like, lying down, there's that illusion of like, oh my God, I'm so winded, I can't get up. I'm too tired. I'm too exhausted from this fight. Sitting up is a different game entirely because there are muscles being involved there that you could also activate to get the fuck out of the way. So, like, again, I don't mind finishing moves that require a little bit of setup. And even like, honestly, one of my favorite finishing moves of all time is the Gory Guerrero special.
Yeah.
That like, it's like it's like a surfboard, but he's holding you up like, because it starts with a power bomb and Chavo turned it into a bomb and stuff like, and there's been a million different variations, but the original Gory special is one of my favorites of all time. And that requires a little bit of like, again, suspension of disbelief, a little bit of like maneuvering. That's fine because it looked awesome, because the payoff was brilliant.
But not
Magnum's payoff is like it doesn't even look like it hurts that much harder than a regular code breaker.
I'm also going to think that you knocked yourself out too if it goes wrong.
Right. Like,
But again, indie, this is what I've always said. I'm like, wrestlers at least have 2 different finishers. Like, have 2, like, build a repertoire.
yes.
It's fun. Like, we would love that. But Indy does pick up the victory here.
I mean, outside of the fact that made me happy that Indy won it,
Yeah.
technically it looked kind of cool. Again, the turnbuckles got their fair share. They went,
Sure did.
They went from men to women in this round, but it was,
Very fair. And again, like we talked about afterwards, Gia Miller tries to interview Indy and, Tessa goes on a rampage. She attacks Gia. Indy jumps in, like, hold my earrings type vibe, and I was here for it. And then we come to find out later in the show that Tessa has been suspended indefinitely. So security literally picked her up to take her out, and she was not on the Thursday episode. So, so Tessa is suspended until, television tells us that she needs to come back, which we don't, because then poor Victoria, man, they put her in a weird position. Now that Tessa's not going to be there for a little bit, I was like, where are we going? Anyway, we'll talk about it when we get to the Thursday episode. But I was like, you know what? Okay, I've had some ups and downs so far, but so far, I've been enjoying Slammiversary. This is going to be, we're going to see where the rest of the night goes with us. Like, this should still be fun.
Good night, everybody.
I've had some times to process my feelings, and my feelings are, it still hurts a little bit. I'm not going to front. We're going to talk about the whole entire story threads that we've been going on between NXT on Tuesday and what happened on Thursday, too, to preview it a little bit. But this was a title versus title, winner-take-all match. Our TNA Knockouts champion, Masha, taking on NXT Women's Champion, JC Jane. Leading into this match, we were waiting to see if it was going to be JC Jane or Jordan Grace after WWE's Evolution pay-per-view, because the NXT Women's Championship was defended at that event. And one of those two was going to come over for Masha. JC ended up beating Jordan due to a Blake Monroe heel turn, which now Jordan is looking to murderize Blake Monroe. And I was like, I'm okay with that feud, like I talked about on our Tuesday NXT review. So leading into this, JC was going to beat Masha, and I'm just sitting here, I'm like, please, to the wrestling gods, if you are out there, if you are listening to me, I know you struck my house a couple times, the internet hasn't been wonky, and like, you've taken out my power a few times, but I was like, please, if there's ever something, I need you to do me a favor, and I promise I won't ask again. I need you to let Masha win, because in-ring wise, Masha's more seasoned, and I'm more interested in her fighting in NXT than I am JC fighting the TNA roster. I'm gonna be so for real. I mean, JT, you mentioned turnbuckles. They were definitely used in here, and they were ultimately the downfall. After the pin, your winner, still NXT Women's Champion and new TNA Knockouts Champion, NXT's JC Jane.
Yep.
So we'll talk about
that is the mood.
it cuts deep.
This is my that was my reaction for the most part on Sunday. I'm still a little perturbed. But that's because I'm very protective of them because of how far TNA has had to come after the Dixie Carter, Eric Bischoff, Terry Bollea era of TNA, where they almost drug it to the bottoms of hell. And it took forever for somewhat Jeff Jarrett, but mostly Scott D'Amore to pull that bitch out from the mud to bring it back to TNA being respectable and stop being dunked on as hard as it was. This was, in the words of one of my favorite drag queens, Miss Tatiana, choices. The match itself was fine. I was like, they gave me false hope when Zaya and Leanne Lee took out Jasmine and Fallon, and they all started brawling in the back. I was like, now it's a one-on-one. I was just like, what are you gonna do to make me believe that JC has a shot now? And turnbuckle we came up with. I was like, gosh dang it, this one hurt. Will was Radio was there to witness it. Like, Radio is newer to TNA, but even he felt the same pain as I did.
Well,
like,
I because I mentioned in the lead up to this that like a lot of this feels like, because of sort of the business ramifications involved, like it didn't, like, to me, there was a part of me that was like, it doesn't really matter who wins this, because whoever wins this, he wins. Because it is, if JC Jane wins, then the TNA title is in NXT. If Masha wins, then the NXT champion is a TNA wrestler. Either way, lose in this capacity, but cannot.
No. And here's the thing. I also want to put this out there too, because we've talked about this since Jordan left. Jordan Grace leaving TNA toward the tail in January this year when her contract was expired. I was just like, look, I know that Masha will probably end up going to WWE. I would love for her to go to AEW, but she will probably end up going, like, I'm not here to squash wherever she wants to go, because I'm like,
Right.
Masha, right? So that part, I was just like, when her contract's up, I would not be surprised if she went over to the Fed. Like, that's my issue here. And again, I wanted to clarify this again because I said this during the watch along. I am not upset with JC. I am not upset with Masha. They are just doing what they've been told from the creative in the back. Well, the creative
Right.
and the higher up in the back, I'm pissed off at you.
Well,
Yeah.
there's another thing to be said that like Masha will like either end up going to AEW or going to WWE. Why can't you just stay in TNA? Deserves to have its own stars, deserves to be a competitor among, like, especially in an era and there is so much more competition when you have your fourth ropes and you have your AEWs and you have your other organizations that are clearly exist specifically to be competition to WWE, because WWE is no longer the only show in town, you know? And that's like, that should be an option for her rather than thinking like, oh, they're gonna leave. Like, no, like, water the grass you're standing on, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so JT, unless you have something else to add about the match itself really quickly, because I do want to, there is something that gives me a little bit of light, though I should not trust it, but I'll get to it in a little bit. But
About the only thing that I would end up saying outside of I am deeply hurt that my girl lost, I do kind of agree with Radio that like Masha should stay in TNA, like, because I think that she would be almost like a figurehead for TNA because
Sure.
of what she does. And I'm all here for it. I think it'd be amazing, like, to have her stay and, maybe later on down the road win that TNA title back. And then that would fortify her staying there.
Especially since TNA, so much of TNA's reputation is tied up in their knockouts division, you know? Like, it has been routinely better than, like, it's always been better than WWE's and is frequent, like, and I'll be honest, I'm an AEW fan, but like, it's better than AEW's, you know? Like, and because AEW only schedules like one women's match per episode. But
or one segment, and it's like, we can get more for some reason.
But like, and like, let her stay here and let it become like, build that reputation as like a top-notch promotion for femme performers.
Yep, 100% agree.
Yeah. So again, JC walks out as double champ. I shouldn't trust this, but to give you a quick report too, because we continued the story threads leading into from Tuesday's NXT episode to what we kind of saw on Thursday. Because Tuesday's episode, JC had a little bit of a promo where she talked about now she's a double champ. Nobody believed that she could beat Masha, but she did. However, she did make it clear, because there was some visual storytelling in all of this, because JC said that she did it all by herself with nobody helping. And Jasmine and Fallon looked at her like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? And which then prompted, of course, because she's our NXT Women's Champion, I was just like, JC, you better keep your head on a swivel, because you got the NXT Women's division coming after you for the NXT Championship. The Knockouts, especially Masha, gonna come breaking down your door to get that TNA Knockouts title back. But I think what's giving me a little bit of hope is that I think JC and Trick are kind of on the similar trajectory where they're both Icarus. They are gonna fly too close to this sun, and it's gonna all fall apart. Because we kind of saw that when JC said she won these titles by herself. Lash Legend and Jada Parker want to challenge JC for the NXT Women's Championship. This was on Tuesday. JC told, Fallon and Jasmine to get them. The girls were like, no, you can do it yourself. And then a whole brawl breaks out too. So we are starting to sow the seeds where JC's ego is going to be a big problem, which, is the tired old trope. But Icarus is going to fly too close to the sun, and she's going to lose both these titles. Like, I'm going to be so for real. I don't think she's walking past October as champion Eddie capacity. So, but this Sunday I was but I shouldn't trust it because it's NXT and the Fed. But hopefully now, since we're visually telling the seeds of Icarus flying too close to the sun, we're going to see JC's downfall, and it's going to be glorious storyline wise, not actual wise. But I digress. Because we got to move on, though, because oh my gosh, this made me, Radio was there. I almost shed tears. I was on the verge of crying. Oh my God. But this match was so damn fun. I was just like, shout out to Moose for putting over Leon Slater and putting the belt on him at the end of it too, giving him that sign of respect. I was like, Moose, I still have issues with some of the things you do, but you know what? You got some respect points in me. I respect you a little bit more, my friend. But damn, Leon Slater is so, excuse my friend, we're far enough into this. He's so fucking talented, you guys.
He's another one. Because he is that sort of high flyer that I know AEW loves, there is a part of me that's like, oh, he would be great in AEW. But no, like I said, he deserves to be, a TNA guy. It doesn't need to be where are these guys going next.
Yeah, he needs to build his roots through TNA, definitely. And then, 10 years down the line or so, 10, 15 years down the road, then, maybe start kind of dipping your toes in the other water.
I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say 10 or 15 years, but maybe in a couple of years, if we get to a point where, Ricochet needs someone to high fly against and Will Ospreay is still hurt, then maybe give Leon Slater a call.
Look, if Leon were to visit AEW in the near future and people are still there, him versus Ricochet would slap, him versus Will would slap. I would love to see him and AR Fox go at it too. Not even on front. But the youngest in charge did it, y'all. This match was so fun. Leon flying everywhere. And then also showing the power by picking up.
That is a 300+ pound man. And he picked him up and swung him around like a bag of rice.
That was but also, Moose, I don't know if you've been studying chops or whatever, but when you be slapping Leon Slater like a fly, I'm like, oh my God. I was like, oh, Moose has been looking at either some New Japan or just some Walter chops. I was saying, he was smacking kids out he was smacking this kid out the air.
It's the WWE relationship. He's been hanging out with Gunther.
Listen, I don't care what nobody says. You could not pay me enough to take a Gunther chop at full blast. I'll be like, I would die.
Funny story. Do you mind if I share a somewhat related story?
Go for it. It is a tangent brought to you by radio.
So there is and I can't remember who he was interviewing, but someone said who delivers the worst. It might have been Gunther actually, saying you're known for your chops. You're known for how hard you hit when you chop somebody. Whose chops do you not want to take? And without hesitation, he said, Penta.
Those Penta chops are nasty work.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's so... But
so, when the king of chops says, no, fuck that, it's no. Yeah, how's it going, bud?
Cover the chesticles, as the kids say. No, you will not be getting my chest today, Penta. Yeah, Penta chops are nasty work. They're fun to watch, but I'm sure they're a bitch to take. But literally, the youngest X Division champion in this company's history, Leon finally did it. He is now X Division champion. I loved it. Briefly, we kind of got something from AJ Styles putting over Leon. There's really nothing much more to add. I feel like that spot was a little bit wasted.
Yeah.
On the one hand, I was
especially the return of AJ Styles is part of the hype package leading into the week, and it's just hey, this guy's pretty good. Thanks, everybody.
Of course, there are reports out there that AJ was supposed to do more, but of course, I smell of the Federation be like, no. But I will say, though, I hated the fact that we underutilized AJ. Not to say because AJ's not in TNA anymore, but even still, you're bringing one of the foundational members of TNA, and especially this X Division when the title was first created in this company. But I will say, though, in the mind of Leon Slater, the fact that not only he won this championship, but he got to stand in the ring with an absolute wrestling legend in AJ Styles. I was just like, you know what, Leon? You had the best day ever, and I'm not going to take that away from you.
100%.
But definitely the high point of this whole entire night. I was like, you know what? I'm still mad about Masha, but this was the right choice, TNA, because had Leon lost, I don't think we would be here right now. I think we'd be like, I don't know if we're going to review, guys, because I'm too sad. Yeah. So
I remember saying leading into this match, if Leon Slater loses, you got to find someone else to watch TNA with you guys. I'm sorry.
And that's it, folks. But we got to move on, though, because RIP to AJ Francis's legs and nuts.
I was gonna say that. Okay, to be I want to point out something about this match, though, especially because I know everyone's talking, but when it comes to AJ Francis and this match, everyone's talking about the bump that he took through the ladder.
That moonsault, though, was
moonsault. Okay, yeah. Mr. Banned from diving, Mr. Flop, bro, keep it up, bro.
Yeah, this the best way to put it, this was a car crash of a match, and I loved it in the best way possible. So, of course, this was for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. We did have a bit. Yeah,
didn't love the ending. Didn't love it, especially oh, he's redefined the ladder match. Like, no, he gimmicked the fucking ladder before the match and then pressed the button to let it
be like, pull the lever, Crunk, wrong lever.
Pretty much.
Like, and well, okay, the other thing about that too is that, like, think about it. If the Nemeths or First Class had done that spot, there would have been boos throughout the entire audience because that would have been some heel shit. They're just like, wait, what do you mean they had a ladder up there the whole time? But had a backup ladder. Fuck that was a heel move. Like, and that was not a Hardy spot. That should have gone to the Nemeths or First Class because of that spot.
Yeah, but we did have a little bit of a change up to this match. Of course, Trey Miguel unfortunately was not able to compete due to hernia. So he said he was going to be able to compete, but medical was like, nah, we ain't about to get a lawsuit on our hands. So, of course, stepping in for Trey and joining Zach, a Rascal member himself, is Mr. Myron Reed. I will say I know we don't talk about ring gear a lot, but I'm a sucker for like that kind of like electric blue type of stuff. Like I like those. Like that's one of the hues I love. I'm gonna be so for real. I had to walk my dog to go to the restroom during this match during the watch along, so I went back and watched it. I'm gonna be so for real. I forgot the Nemeths were in this match. I'm not even gonna front you guys. I was just like, there is one too many teams in here. And the crazy thing is the Nemeths were the champions, and I forgot they were there.
Yep. I'm pretty for sure that they forgot that they were there.
Yeah.
Like you barely even saw them. And and another thing, shout out to Navarro for having a cleared leg, but that he was struggling and he still pulled it off. He made everything look good.
After that scary ladder spot where he and AJ went through it, if you watch in the background, AJ is carrying Casey out.
Yep. Yeah.
So
it broke the ladder. I mean, that was,
And we learned from the, Thursday episode, the report of our injuries that Casey inflamed the knees. So now Casey's back to day by day. I'm like, no, we just got you okay.
I'm not shocked. That shot that he picked that broke, that he'd be able... there's no way that he's walking out of this without getting on the injury report.
No. So, but for the fourth time in TNA history, the Hardys are your new tag team champs. So, very interested to see where we go, especially when we get to Thursday episode, because it seems like we're setting up our own Survivor Series ? But we'll get to there when we get to the Thursday recap really quickly, because right now, let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
Well, there was one more thing after that match because Bully Ray came out.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. But on purpose. I'm just kidding. So, okay, I just want to talk about this really quickly because the Hardys have the titles. They're celebrating the ring. My least favorite person, one of my least favorite people on the planet, Bully Ray, comes out. I know people are a fan. Him and Devon, the Dudleys, Team 3D, very instrumental when it comes to the industry in some capacity. Cannot stand his bitch ass. I'm sorry. He is very, and this is putting it nicely, he is very misogynistic. He's very homophobic. I don't mess with Bully Ray, and his opinions on wrestling is very pick-me energy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that tracks.
The things that come out of his mouth, I was just like, Lord have mercy. Yeah. What?
The dude was kayfabe engaged to Hulk Hogan's daughter.
Yeah, that was a whole weird thing. Brooke, man, yeah. But anyways, so Bully Ray comes out. Again, this promo could have been an email. I'm going to be so for real. We spent 10, 15 minutes on this radio when we watched this. I was like, get to the point.
Yeah.
And
see, I got lucky. Yeah. I have a fast forward button. You guys didn't.
Yeah, you got lucky. We watched it live. We suffered for everybody here. But the Dudleys want one more match. And so at Bound for Glory, TNA Bound for Glory in October, Hardys versus Dudleys one more time. And I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, but I thought Devon has said he done. So I'm like,
yeah, he's capital R retired.
I was like, what's T-Sis? What are we? Okay, sure, fine, whatever. The other thing we also learned is that Bound for Glory will be taking place in Lowell, Massachusetts. So we are trying to send radio to there.
A train there, man. Hold on. Because especially if the Hardys are still the champions by the time Bound for Glory rolls around. Hold on a second. I'm going to look something up.
Go for it.
Because having one last match with them where is the thing? There we go. And especially with Devon being capital R retired and the Hardys being the champions, there's not really a ton of point to having this match in terms of like the story being told, because they're not going to win the titles, right?
No.
Here's my theory. They are going to use this as an opportunity to debut TNT in TNA.
Interesting.
TNT being Terrell and Terrence Hughes, Devon's kids, and a tag team on the indies right now.
Interesting. I'm not gonna lie, you have me intrigued, and I actually would prefer that. So, but again, that is 3 months out. Who knows where everything and everyone's gonna be by then. But again, the Hardys agree. So as of right now, we get one more match at Bound for Glory. Hardys, Team 3D. We shall see where everybody's at when that time comes. But let's get into what main evented the show. Mike Santana. We were in your backyard. I should have known. Hometown people rarely.
I said it. I said it last week, and I said it on the live thing, and I will say it again here. I won the point, but I didn't want to.
So, yeah. I'm so mad that I believe that Trick was actually hurt. Because again, despite my feelings about Trick as TNA World Champion, I never wish anybody on any roster, regardless of my character issues with them, I never want anyone to get hurt. And I'm mad at myself that I thought Trick actually tweaked something. I was like, listen, Gabe Kidd already tweaked his knee. He is out for the rest of the G1 Climax tournament right now, which broke my little heart. I was like, damn. I was like, how we going to do all these matches now? Poor Gabe, man. I felt so bad. So I'm like, we don't need more wrestlers hurt because we already got enough people on the shelf right now, like healing injuries and things like that. So this was like, what, 12 minutes at best? I'm going to be so for real. This was like a 12-minute main event. This was wild to me.
Yeah.
But we spent the first 5 minutes.
It was a 12-minute main event, and 5 minutes of that was Santana's entrance.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I loved his entrance.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Having it wrapped live was great. His wrapped live was better than First Class's being wrapped live.
Oh, listen, let's talk about that real quick, because I was like, I don't know if the in-ear wasn't working, but we were off beat. Like, we were behind the lyrics. Like, what was that? I was like, thank God, though, it didn't mess up for Santana. I will say, though, that cameraman, you recovered quickly, because I don't know if you tripped or somebody tripped you, but the cameraman almost took a fall.
Yeah. Yep.
So this was the main event where we spent the first 4 minutes of Mike Santana's entrance. We spent like about 5 minutes with Trick Williams being thrown out of the ring and Mike and Joe going at it. Not one, but Mike Santana hits 2 spin the blocks on Joe Hendry. And I was like, here we go. And then Trick runs his ass in, throws Mike out, pins Joe, which I was like, okay, Joe is done for this TNA World title. He needs to move on to something else. And I feel like we put an extra stamp on Thursday's episode. But damn, Mike, this was your night. This was an easy layup, TNA. But you know what? It was what it was.
You want to know the funniest thing about this match, actually?
Tell me.
They literally stole the ending from AEW. From All In Texas. From All In, there was the casino gauntlet match. Literally ended the exact same way. I can't remember who it was, but like
MJF.
somebody went to pin Mark Briscoe, and they like MJF comes in and just sort of like launches him off and pins the guy and gets the win. So, trope is old, like, but also like trope is old aside, but it's one of those things of like, there's been a lot of TNA stuff lately that's just been like, yo, can I copy your homework? Okay, fine, but don't make it look obvious, okay? It's cool. I'll change it up just a little bit. It'll be on a triple threat instead of a gauntlet match.
Oh, man.
Or a title instead of a number one contender title shot thing.
I was like, okay, sure. Why not? So, once again, Trick Williams is still your TNA World Champion. We talked a little bit about this, you and I radio at the end as we were debriefing a little bit. After Sunday night was over, NXT now held both the TNA, singles championships. It's like, dear God, this is the timeline we're living in. Again, because we're watching Icarus fly too close to the sun, JC and Fatal Influence might be breaking apart. What could have been an email segment between Trick and The Undertaker, we could have cut like 7 minutes off that from NXT. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of did like watching Undertaker like joke slam Trick, because I was just like, shut your bitch ass up. Nobody cares about you, Trick. Also, I'm just saying, and this is a personal thing, I know we were in Texas for NXT, y'all, but if we're going to do anything like that, can we stop? Everybody needs to stop picking cowboy as the pop culture Americana thing that you're going to dress as during these shows in Texas. Like, what the flip is that? Like Prince and stuff like that. I'm like,
you mean that's
no,
that's not default in Texas?
No, we are not doing this. I was just like
so Papa Oso, that means that next time we do another one of these for TNA, you need to have a cowboy hat on.
Hey, Mike,
right?
you've got a bot on Twitch.
Handling it right now. Thank you so much. You guys continue talking. No, Will, I swear, Papa Oso, if you come with this cowboy hat, we're gonna be like, you are banned for a week. Alrighty. Well, that does bring us to the end of Slammiversary. Overall, I still had a solid show, but now, okay, let's quickly go through this because this was also a lot. I was like, the haterade has been unlocked. Oh, what are we doing with our lives, y'all? Oh my goodness. All right, well, here we go. So let's just get into it really quickly. So we're going to kind of quickly go through this as quickly as possible, but there was a lot of things. Before we get into the actual segments, I'm just going to keep bringing it up every time we talk about something. But these overhead shots of the crowd during the breaks, what the flip was that, TNA?
This was fucking amateur hour. It was like, okay, I watched in the course of the last week, I have watched 3 wrestling productions. Okay, just like I'm not able to watch all of them because I am only mortal and I have other things that I have to do. But the 3 ones that I watched this week were Slammiversary, this week's Impact, and I did not watch the entire thing, but most of Mystery Wrestling 17. How is it that Mystery Wrestling is up? I mean, I know they're going on tour now. They're finally taking it on the road, which is wonderful. I really hope they come to the States. I hope they come to New England. But I hope they make it over to the States. I don't blame them if they don't, because things are fucking on fire here. But I love them. Eva Luno, you're doing a wonderful job. Like, you are doing a wonderful thing by bringing comedy wrestling and just bringing just a lighthearted, like people on, like anybody that you bring into this show is having the spots of like throwing themselves through doors, and even like the what is it, London Lightning, like working at a hardware store, and when someone asks if it's doors, and he has these Apocalypse Now flashbacks. Like,
also, within that whole entire show too, I will also say, just because I'm perpetually 10, I was like, I will never not hear the phrase "clap them cheeks" the same again.
Right? Fresh Air was great. And also, can we also talk about just how breezy and effortless that 60-minute Iron Man match was?
Totally, for all 15 minutes. I was happy about this particular show because, again, as a GCW person, I was like, there's a lot of GCW folks who just hopped on over from Coney Island the night before for this, which was all to say, production was trash here.
The production of Impact was hot garbage. Like, somebody got fired over this, or at least I hope they did.
The budding saga that at least something in the year for TNA, somebody in the production truck got fired. Last year, it was against all odds. This year's
this episode was 2 hours long because I watched it on TNA Plus, and like this, and the fact that it's on TNA Plus, a bespoke streaming service, and Mystery Wrestling is streaming on Twitch. Like, anyway, I watched it on TNA Plus, so I could see that it was 2 hours long. Half an hour of that was dead air.
It was wild, but let's just get through this because we do have some stuff that kind of plays into what's to come, because now we're on the road to Bound for Glory, when our first stop being at Emergence in August. So let's get into things. So, all right, technology, please work with me today. Anywho.
The Backyard Wrestling Federation I was in high school had better production value than this.
So Santino comes out to, rah-rah the crowd at the beginning, addresses the elephant in the room, the NXT kid, Trick Williams and JC, NXT kids have the TNA championships. Santino's also fighting for the NXT North American Championship this upcoming Tuesday against All Ego Ethan Page. So that's also a thing happening.
It's Hage.
Shut up. Listen, I don't know what kind of timeline we would be able to survive, but if somehow Santino runs away with that championship, I would die of laughter in the best way possible. I was just like, listen, I know he's a meme, but Santino created magic down in Mexico. I need the Cobra versus La Yesca part 2. Like, give me that. It would be fantastic. But anyways, back to TNA. So Santino addresses the elephants in the room. He promises TNA Director of Authority they gonna get these titles back. Masha comes out, wastes no time. She's like, listen, this is not what she said, but I'm translating for Masha. She's like, what happened at Slammiversary was some bullshit, and I want this title back.
Yeah.
So she's like, I want the title back. So Santino makes it official for next week, where we are getting a TNA Knockouts Championship match, JC versus Masha in a rematch. Spoiler alert, we all know that ain't ending clean. Like, we all know
Nope.
shenanigans are gonna be abound. So, but then all of a sudden we get Trick and First Class coming out talking some shit, which also has the system like wanting to get their hands on everyone. There's a whole bunch of faction fighting in this episode. I'm not even going front. It was
Yeah.
the way we got to point A to point B was kind of crazy.
And it ended in a big brawl that faded to black and then faded to an overhead shot. So we don't know how it actually resolved.
Right. So it was wild. This was a wild opening segment. So, but we can move on though, because we did get into our first.
Thank you, JC,
match.
for the overhead shot.
What are you talking about? Overhead shots are the best.
Oh my, so mad at you.
They do so much for everything. It is. I would recommend it to anybody who does any form of videography ever.
Yep.
I'm so mad at you.
That's
That's
and
great.
okay, for this is what I'm going to call it for the rest of the thing. It's the nosebleed cam because that was a camera shot from the nosebleed section. It's
Oh my gosh, we'd love to see it. So, our first official match of the episode, the Elegance brand saw all three girls in action. So, Ash, Heather, and M by Elegance taking on the Inspiration and a mystery partner of their choosing. Said mystery partner happens to be Mara, formerly known as Jakara Jackson from NXT. Made me super happy to see her back because it's not the first time she's been on TNA television this year. She got let go in NXT in that whole bunch of cuts, which was some bullshit because I was like, how you gonna break her and Lash Legend up? They were balling as a tag team, but you know, she's had a couple of matches in the independents, and I can officially announce this that TNA has officially signed Miss Sade. So more knockouts to our division. I'm here for. I love her so much. I'm so glad that she's found her footing here in TNA. Can't wait to see where this goes. The match itself was fine. Yeah, that's the best way I could put it. It was fine. But
like I said about Slammiversary, third verse, same as
the Inspiration and Miss, not the singer, take the victory here. So you know that we're probably going to get a rematch for those knockout titles down the line. But happy to see Mara Sade here. So I was also here for this though. We're going to kind of breeze through this because we've got some weird backstage segments where Victoria Crawford is like now Danny Luna and Indy Hartwell's mentor, question mark. I was like, that's a large leap in storytelling and logic, but okay, sure, fine. We also got Eric Young towing the lines of being very problematic, saying that he needs to cleanse these outsiders from TNA. And I was just like, pump the brakes, Eric.
I'll be 100% honest. During that whole promo, I was fully distracted by Judas Icarus, just like mugging over his shoulder.
Get Sinner and Saint away from Eric. I need Sinner and Saint, not the Northern Armory version of these two. But yeah, Eric Young, I love you, but we were towing some problematic lines. I was like, you need to cleanse these outsiders. I like, listen, NXT already has a pseudo like fascist naming faction in the calling over in NXT. Like, we don't need this version in TNA, y'all. This is getting out of hand. But we speed through that because we get Leon Slater talking about, you know, being the new X Division champion and how he's out here and he's gonna have the best title reign. And I'm like, damn straight. And then, of course, he gives credit and he has the Hardys come out. The Hardys cut a promo. Yep. Now, had it just been these three, I would have been like, cool, you know what? Fine. I love you, Steve Macklin, but you were the odd duck out of this one in what we were saying. I love you, Macklin, you and your square jaw and everything. But like
Steve Macklin, accompanied by his chin.
He is literally, he just needs to paint that thing red and he would literally become the Crimson Chin, y'all. Like, I'm so for real. Oh my goodness.
To borrow a joke from Mystery Science Theater 3000, now that's a man who needs gingerware.
Exactly. But from all this promo together, these four have established themselves. I was like, y'all can't be teasing me with a pseudo Survivor Series team. Like, what is this? Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Like, if y'all gonna be the defenders of TNA, I was like, Avengers Assemble. Like, you need to recruit more people, though, because I love you for, but y'all know that the numbers game is not gonna happen. So I'm telling you, I think, though, after this main event, I think we have our de facto leader who's gonna be, we need somebody to not give a F about the rules and just bust down NXT's door and start wrecking havoc. I think we found our leader when we get to our main event, though. But the promo itself is fine. These are our new champions for the next couple months, I guess. So, yeah, this was the quickest no DQ match. It's like, oh my goodness.
This match, okay, on top of all of the stuff that had already happened, once again, I've like Elegance brand versus Inspiration. I was already kind of like, it was kind of, here we go again. It's the same match that we saw on Sunday, just with one more person each. And everybody's kind of doing the same thing they did back then. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, this is going to be a similar thing, except like we've seen over the last few weeks. Oh, no DQ. I wonder what they're going to pull out. And that thumbtack spot, Jake, listen close, okay? You're supposed to slam the other guy into the tacks.
Not yourself.
Okay, not the other guy goes into the tacks.
Yeah, it sounds like he was taking some wrestling advice from Tasha Blanchard there.
From who? Tasha what?
Oh, my brain.
Tessa Blanchard?
There you go.
Okay.
It's been a night.
Yeah.
How many names?
And like it was an okay, like, and maybe I'm spoiled. Maybe because as an AEW fan, when I hear no DQ, I'm like, all right, let's fucking go. And they're like, oh no, we got some chairs and all right.
Like, why did I should have known better to expect blood, but
like, and it's when he hit that tag spot, I'm like, no, other guy. Don't like
this episode was a hot mess all around. And this match did not help beat that. So Jake does win by the end of this. I was like, okay, sure. I was like, this was okay. So we move on though, because
this promo could have been an email.
It really could. It's literally part 2. This is JC Jane promo, part 2, Electro Boogaloo with more men. No, just kidding. Shout out to Drag Queen Bosco. Love you. Anywho, this is literally the same promo we got on NXT, but instead of calling out the NXT women's division, JC calls out the Knockouts division. And I was just like, girl, let's be so for real. I love you, JC, but you know damn well that the Knockouts division could come out here and beat yo ass. But I'm just like, all right, JC, this could have been an email. You get your we get Masha versus you next week. We know it ain't gonna end clean, so we ain't gonna act like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so surprised. No. So, which then bleeds into the next match, which is the Great Hands versus, Matt Cardona and Brian Myers of the System. I actually really like this match. We got to establish like the security guard for Order 4 now as an actual character now. So I was like, unless you're gonna sign this man, don't play with me like that. Like, I was like, okay. The Great Hands win. The System and Order 4 are gonna fight, I guess. I was just like, why couldn't we get round 1 at Slammiversary? Y'all could have fought instead of Dark State. I'm gonna be so for real.
That would have been a way better fight.
Also, not gonna lie, that big dude, for a hot minute, I was like, wait, is that Big Bill?
I was gonna say, everybody did. I was like, hold up. I was like, nope, not him.
It's like, no. It's slightly smaller William. It's because
it's like medium-sized William.
Yeah. But like when he was moving, it's like, wait a second. Hold on. We're not going to put Real One and Big Bill in the same, like, this close in orbit without, like...
The worlds would fall apart.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they did reunite on Jared Cruz. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Great Hands win. We're continuing System versus Order 4 at some point because next week has a whole different bunch of people involved with that one. But before we get into that, next week, thanks to my friend, we are told that we are getting a couple matches, which, because it's going to be pre-taped, hopefully helps the issues with this hot production garbage that was this live episode. But as stated, we are getting JC Jane versus Masha Slamovich for the Knockouts title in a Slammiversary rematch. We are also getting Moose, Eddie Edwards, and Johnny Dango Curtis, JDC of the System, taking on Trick Williams and First Class. Okay. We're getting the Rascals versus the Nemeths, just because we need to give these tag teams something to do. But the one that makes me kind of excited, and I don't foresee it going any other way but the champion retaining, we're getting a triple threat for the X Division Championship, in which it is Leon Slater versus one half of the Great Hands, Jason Hodge, versus Cedric Prime Alexander. I was like, this should be fun. Run me Leon and Cedric one-on-one, though, later.
Yeah, that'll be a really good match.
Yeah, so let's get into our main event. I'm going to be so for real. Instead of that main event with Trick and that triple threat, we could have had a number 1 contenders match at Slammiversary, and I would have been okay with it. I'm not even going front. But this, by default, this was my favorite match of the whole tonight, which is sad to say.
By default.
But honestly, I do like Joe. I'm not going to, keep us in the dark forever. Mike Santana with the roll up for the win. We have found our leader to knock down NXT's door to get these titles back. I'm like, Joe Hendry losing at Slammiversary, and now this is the definitive. Joe Hendry probably going to do something else, losing to Mike Santana in this. So Mike is going to lead the charge. Again, by default, this is my favorite match. That ending sequence, the last 5 minutes was baller. I enjoyed it, but I'm a sucker for those kinds of crazy stuff. But yeah, we have a little bit of a tense moment where they go forehead to forehead, but Joe Hendry shakes Mike Santana's hand at the end of it, with Mike celebrating to end the episode this week. That has been your quick recap of this hot garbage production issue of a TNA show.
and I know we don't want to dwell too much on those overhead shots, but here,
Put the
JT.
camera down, JT.
So here's the thing with it, like, and we mentioned, or like I think we mentioned before we went live, like even putting up that "We'll be right back" placard would have been better, because without that, it's just dead air, and we can see stuff happening. And sometimes it's just, the ref and the ring crew sort of resetting everything. Couple of times it's like Frankie Kazarian coming down the ramp, and I'm like, what's going on here? There was one time it happened like in the middle of that brawl with the system in order for, and then when it comes back, it's like, oh nope, it's all gone. Nope, it's just we're having our first match. Okay, what happened with the brawl? There was one moment that it happened mid-sentence. Like Ray Walt was saying something and then just fade to black, overhead shot.
Don't do it again.
Because I understand that like live shows, there's always going to be a problem. But you are a wrestling promotion. You are one of the top 3 wrestling promotions in the country, okay? And you clearly filmed backstage segments and some video hype packages and interviews and other stuff that you could have put there, because that's what happens like when you're at a live like any other live show I've ever been to. Yeah, they need time to reset the ring and like move the spent weapons out of the way and everything like that. That's when you put a video up that's like, coming next week, something more impressive than this, or like a hype package for like, previously, this is how we got to where we are now, or an interview, or a backstage segment, or something. You put something there. Because I'll be honest, I don't remember what happened in the Joe Hendry and Mike Santana match from this week's Impact, because by the time it rolled around, I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm
like, I don't care no more. I'm tapping out.
Yeah, no, that's like, if you guys don't give enough of a shit to keep your audience engaged, then I don't give enough of a shit to see where this goes.
That's very fair. JT, you had something you had some thoughts on this too.
They were even doing those top-down shots at the Slammiversary too, and it was
those were weird too.
Yeah, it was awkward. You start doing that, and all of a sudden you're like, "Why did you just do that shot?" Like, so in Portland here in Oregon, we used to have, we may still have it, but it's not as prevalent. We used to have an underground, borderline amateur wrestling that was actually overseen by Rowdy Piper. And when they did and they would put it on the local broadcasting and stuff like that. And when they did the shots, like you said, when they were cleaning a set, they were transitioning from one to another, they would have like the commentators, like it would just have talking about stuff, or they do like a soft pan over the audience.
Okay, well, TNA can't do that one because they're
but like you said, there's so many things that they could have done.
And like you brought up like bringing up the comment, like focusing on the commentators. I've heard it in their broadcast. They put their commentators on a live mic over the in the audience, so you like there are moments you can hear the commentators saying like, well, that was a great match. Like, do that. So like, and like when you put that feed up, you put it on like the Jumbotron up there so the audience can watch along.
Yep.
Like it's smoke and mirrors, but it's a live show.
TNA, like we've talked about this since we've been doing BC WrestlePod for the last 3 years. And I was just like, there's always one episode with the production problems. It's like, y'all can't keep me doing this. Like, come on now. But that hopefully next week will be better because it is pre-taped.
Hey, TNA, if you're listening, I know I just accepted a new job, but I would work for y'all. Like, probably pays better than the job that I just took, and I could do at least as good a job, if not better, than the tech person you have on hand right now.
I'm gonna be so for real. The whole TNA crew would love to be in part of TNA at some capacity. It's like, listen, if you pay more,
okay with you?
Tacos agree. So TNA, please, we got ideas.
We have a saying in our Dragon Boat crew that don't be sorry, be better.
Yeah.
So don't say sorry about the top down shots. Just be better.
Yeah.
Be better about it. So all in all, that has been Slammiversary and the quick recap of TNA. This has been an hour-and-a-half episode. Before we go and I give a preview of what remains this week, I do want to put this up, though, because I love shiny graphics. So this is our predictions league. So we are now on the road to the next big four in Bound for Glory. But this is where everyone currently stands so far. So, Radio, what I did is because I didn't want to just only have your Slammiversary score, what I did is I calculated the average of Under Siege and Against All Odds, and this is where we got the score. So, here's where everybody stands. Tied in third place is JT and Radio with the overall record of 17. In second place is myself with a score of 18-9. And somehow running away in first place is Papa Oso himself with 21-6. Remember, for TNA's punishment, or actually, I might take this on purpose, and I actually finally told Papa Oso about our punishment, and he's like, I might start taking it. Somebody has to dress up as a Hardy by the end of this predictions league. But I'm going to be so for real. I'll be like, I feel like we're all going to take it on purpose now. That is our TNA Halloween episode. We're all going to dress up as a Hardy.
I want to give it my best because I like having these things. And when I see the stuff up there, I'm like, yay, I did good. But I also would not be saddened if I lost.
Right? So, I mean, I wouldn't either. I'm going to be so for real. But that is going to be at the end of the predictions league. And who knows, we might bring it up where all of us end up as a Hardy in some capacity. Whatever version you want to for a Halloween episode or something would be great. I mean, AEW does special themed episodes where we dress up sometimes, so why not? We got one more thing before we sign off for the evening. We got announcements. So, of course, there's nothing going on tomorrow for the first time in a couple of weeks, but that all changes next week. But to wrap up your week, this Sunday at a special time of 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, the Dual Dynasty crew will be here where we will quickly recap Raw and SmackDown and spend the majority of our time giving our SummerSlam predictions. Especially now that we have one more match that got added because of SmackDown tonight. And I'm mad because I was like, they aren't going to give it 10 minutes and it deserves like 20 at least. But that's neither here nor there. But thank you so much for tuning in to the Six-Sided Scholars. There will be no TNA review next week, unfortunately. But that is because we are entering the SummerSlam weekend with a whole bunch of special programming. Friday, where we would normally have our TNA review, we will be doing a live watch along for GCW's Hit 'Em Up, which includes the Hardys being there, which is crazy to see them in GCW. Getting Mance Warner versus Bear Bronson, which is going to be crazy. Deonna Purrazzo is scheduled to be there. Shotzi Blackheart and two partners of her choosing will be taking on Matt Cardona and his squad, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm so excited. This is going to be so good. But GCW is about to have a busy weekend because they're going to be in Japan this week, and then they're going to come over for all their events happening over the weekend, which includes that Friday Hit 'Em Up. Also later that night is Emo Fight, and also the 2-day war is also happening with them and Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Yes, you heard me say that right. Juggalo Championship Wrestling. That's going to be a wild thing. We got SummerSlam weekend next weekend, as well as GCW Bloodsport. Like, it's a whole program.
I love the response when you said JCW Juggalo Championship Wrestling. JC's up here like, and I'm over here like.
I had to be clear because there's two JCWs. There's Juggalo Championship Wrestling and then Jersey Championship Wrestling. So
okay.
But Jersey Championship Wrestling is also involved with GCW too. So it's a lot of fun. Lots of crazy things. We got a packed week coming up. We got to get up on out of here because it's late for some of us. So I don't want to make them stay longer than they have to. But thank you so much for tuning in. From all of us here at the BC Wrestle Pod, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. Put the camera down.
Overhead shot.
But on that lovely note, we love you. Take care of yourself. And until Sunday's WWE review, remember, sayonara and peace. Put the camera.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.